So let me ask you, audience, how many of you own a luxurious product in this room? Please raise your hand. Please don't be shy. I also have. Okay. And pretty much everybody, right? And now let me ask you a different question. And out of all the luxurious products that you own, how many are Chinese brand? Not made in China, but Chinese brand. Does anyone own any Chinese luxurious product that is produced, designed, owned by Chinese? Please raise your hand. I see no hand. And there's just maybe one. You see the difference here. You all own a luxurious brand, but yet they're not from China. Where are they from? They're from Italy, from France, from America, from UK, from Germany, from all other Western countries. But yet China doesn't quite make luxurious product. Do you see this as an opportunity? And yet, our host just said that China is the largest luxurious product consumption market. That means China buy a lot, not from China, but from you. This is something we should celebrate here. So today, I want to share with you, now I changed the subject a little bit because the original title is Too Ordinary. I'm not an ordinary person, so I like to make it a little bit sparkling. So here we are, 1 trillion yuan opportunity. There's a lots of zero here, but fortunately there's a 1 before all the zero. And the power of Chinese luxury consumers. So let's go. I only have 30 minutes. Now first I want to talk about luxurious market in China in general, and then talk about Chinese luxury consumers, because they are the key here. And third is British brands in China, to understand how British brands are performing in China. Finally, online retail potential and strategies. So first, luxury market in China. Now, this is a data coming from Statista. And according to Statista, by 2020, the China was, the market size or sales of the luxurious product in China will reach 74 billion euros. So that's astonishing, when we see that. You can see the growth curve here is very high. And further on, the market by the consumer nationality based on the study by Bain Global Luxury Report. And Bain & Company actually see here the actual survey shows 30% in 2016, 33%, 32% in 2017. That means Chinese consumers occupy 32% of the total global luxury market. And they're absolutely number 1. And number 2 we can see here is American. It's dropping a little bit, it's 22%. And Europe is 18% as a whole, not just one country, as a whole, 18%. And the rest is the rest part of the Asia. So we see this is a very astonishing number, that China is now pretty much Chinese consumer dominant luxurious product segment. And to make it even worse here is China, according to BCG, China is going to drive 70% of the global luxury growth by 2024. That means 70% of the global luxury growth come from China. So not just China is already quite large in terms of total global consumption, but also is growing. That's very exciting. And today during the lunchtime, there's someone who are actually Chinese asked me this question. I've never been asked before. She asked me, every time you go to China, what do you think of when you go to China? And I told her that I go there because I feel that China has a lot of business opportunity, and it's very exciting. You don't want to go to a place where it's stagnant. There's no opportunity. There's no growth. But you go to China, there's always opportunity, and plus it's growing. It's not stagnant. So that's making it very interesting here. contribution of Chinese consumer to the global luxury market here, by 2025, is estimated 44%. From, as we can see, in 2016, it's 32% to 44%. So it's continued to grow. It's continued to grow. And China's mainland luxury market by category here, you can see the number one. I don't know whether I have the lights to show you. No. So at the bottom is the largest segment, which is cosmetics, perfume, and personal care. This is a huge market, and it's growing very rapidly. The CAGR of growth is 28%. Not just the category is big, but also CAGR is very big as well. If you go to the major Chinese store, department store, you will see cosmetics will be at the main floor, the ground floor. Why? Because cosmetics has a very high margin and also is very popular, very much demanded by the Chinese consumer. Second is watches, particularly led by the Swiss watches. Everybody have a watch, and this segment is growing. And you are very surprised to hear this because everybody know to get the time, you have multiple channels. You have your phone. You have the clock. You have access to the time at any time you wish, but yet people are spending a lot of money on watch. That means watch today is no longer just a functional product, but it became a transformed luxurious product. I have a friend who come to France, and he had a long shopping list. Out of that, he need to buy for many other people, including his friends and family. And on that list, I see 22 watches. And I'm saying that, hey, when you enter China, if the customer will stop you, they will think that you are smuggling watch into China. How could you carry 22 watches? And he said that I have a nightmare because I have to finish all these shoppings. Otherwise, when I go home, people will find trouble. Say, hey, why you don't bring the watches for me? So third is suitcases and handbags. I don't understand why people are laughing, but I guess you need luggage for the watches. Very intuitive, right? And that's why some Chinese travel to England, to France. They bring the luggages, the suitcases that they are about to throw away. And they come here, they indeed throw away after they buy the luxurious luggages, like Revolver, for instance, and also Samsung and among others. They threw it away successfully this way, indeed. And then jewelries and menswear and women's wear and shoes and other accessories. So you can see the categories is covering majority of people's daily life, in terms of luxurious product. So you see all those used to be more functional except the jewelry and watch. But now it became very luxurious products. And here are most popular luxurious brand in China. The number one is Hermes. It's a French brand. It's very boutique to some extent compared to other top international brands. Second is Chanel, and then Cartier, then Gucci, Dior, and also Balenciaga, and Louis Vuitton. Many people think Louis Vuitton perhaps should be the most popular, but somehow it doesn't rank on the top for that. And they have Rolex and Tiffany and Versace. So these make up the top most popular luxurious brand in China. Louis Vuitton does carry some negative image in China because oftentimes it's being referred to be the product for the girlfriends. And so I'm not saying too much about that. So that's why Louis Vuitton have this big showing, LV, right? They show a lot of these signs everywhere. But Hermes is more hidden, more showing more of a hidden luxuries for that matters and purposes. So China is increasingly setting the trend in the luxuries market. So number one trend they are setting is the most knowledgeable consumers with growing spending power. So Chinese consumer became very knowledgeable. They know a lot of things. You talk to a British consumer, perhaps they don't know so many brands, but Chinese know every brand. They know the price information. They know the new products come. They know which movie star using it. They became a follower. In some ways, I would say a victim of the luxurious market. So they absolutely know that. And they are also very powerful. They are growing in terms of spending power. The Chinese consumer more and more wanted to own their luxurious product, even though they don't have lots of money. The per capita consumption of China, the per capita GDP in China is still far behind compared to developed economy like America and the UK and the majority of the European countries. But yet, their ability to buy luxurious product is unmatchable. I will explain to you later why is that. On one hand, your money in your pocket is not as much as the British, but on the other hand, you spend more on the luxurious product. It seems like contrary to what you have. And second, most advanced digital marketing experience and engagement models. This marketing in China is very dynamic. Here in UK, you're used to going to a store. You want to buy some luxurious product, you go to Harrods, and you buy it. Department store. In France, you go to Galerie Lafayette. But in China, there are so many different channels. There are channels you never heard of. There's someone who specializes of buying for you in England and ship to China for you. We call 海淘, overseas treasure hunting. Overseas treasure hunting. I buy it in England and send it over for you. They find a way to deal with that. This is kind of more like a private channel that is not mainstream, but it actually sells the volume. It's huge. And then you have also channels through the e-commerce, which is very interesting. Even in the e-commerce, they have KOL sales, which is interesting. You see, not just celebrity, but ordinary people who became, 网红, we call internet superstar. And they're able to sell big volumes for that. And they perhaps have become more influential than some of the movie stars. So this segment is very active, very interesting for that matters. Third trend is largely involved in-store experience. In the store, it's not like static. You have salesperson, you have product. In Chinese luxury stores, they have many, many ways. They have promotions, they have product demos, all kind of approach to help you to engage with the audience for that matters. So in-store experience became very important. Second part I want to cover is Chinese luxury consumer. Let's understand them a little bit. First of all, let's look at this chart. Top 20 countries with the most billionaires in 2018. And here we are, China ranked number 1, 819 individuals who has $1 billion or more in their pocket. This is in terms of US dollar firm. Second is US, and the third is India, and then is UK. UK got a lot of rich people here as well. So that explains why now you think about, we don't have data here to show, but think of people has, let's say, 500 million. This number would be much more than 800. And think of people have 100 million. This is more. Think of people who have 1 million, significantly more. That's why luxury market and segment in China is huge, because of this kind of new rich, we call new rich. What is new rich? Because they were not rich before, but now they made money, and they're newcomer into the club. And more importantly, they made money fast. Before they didn't have the money, and now all of a sudden they have the money. So guess what? They spend money without much caution. You understand? If you spend a whole life to make the money, what you do like what Germans do. After they retire, they build a house. That's all they do, because they know this money is not easy. I want to put it into a tangible asset. But for those rich Chinese, they made money easy. Yesterday, the money is not in my pocket. Today is in my pocket, so I spend it easily. So that explains the differences here. We must also see the magnitude of Chinese middle class growth is one of the major driver of this Chinese, luxury segment. So you see from this chart, maybe you don't see a lot here, you see the upper middle class by darker blue here, by 2022 will reach 56%. And mass middle class actually will withdraw, will reduce. You will see upper middle class became dominant going forward. And so this is a form of the potential buyer into the luxuries product. That's why the projection for the Chinese luxuries market is going very fast at about 20% CAGR annually. And if you look at the Chinese luxury segment, there are two kinds of the consumer who are in that segment. One is the millennials. These are the people who age between 18 to 35. They have significant purchasing power, and they wanted to use luxuries product as a way to label themselves. So even though they don't have lots of money, but they all wanted to have one or few pieces of luxuries product so that they can be proud of. And second is the middle class. These people are well off. They're fully capable. They have money, and they want to enjoy a lifestyle with luxurious components for that. So these are the two major segments. So Chinese middle class consumer is getting younger and has different attitude towards consumption. They prefer more expensive and luxurious products. And I remember when I was in China, and we have a lot of counterfeit luxurious product. For instance, you can go to a market, flea market. You can buy Chanel bag, very beautiful. It looks like authentic, but it's counterfeit. And you can buy at a fraction of cost with, let's say, 300 yuan, which is about like 40 pounds, for a Chanel bag, which is, or at the worst at the time, about 3,000 pounds. That is the difference. So many people buy that. But now nobody wanted to buy that because people feel like if I buy a fake, that shows I don't have this financial capability. So that market is dying. Actually, now who go there in China to buy, it's actually foreigners. Because they couldn't afford in their own country, they go to China to buy the counterfeit product. So we still have a smaller market for foreigners, for that matters. And also, they are more brand loyal than before. The previous consumer, what I call the Chinese consumer in general, is called brand aware. They have strong brand awareness, but they're not brand loyal. But this new generation became more brand loyal. I will not say they're totally there yet, but they became more inclined to the brand. And at least the group of the brand that represent their image and their lifestyle. And they use internet more. So I will explain to you and with data later on how much time they spend on the internet. The Chinese millennials, they share of the Chinese urban. So I will explain to you and with data later on how much. So I will explain to you and with data later on how much. So I will explain to you and with data later on how much. So I will explain to you and with data later on how much. So I will explain to you and like me, I have a few suits, I don't need to buy more. But for millennials, they don't even have one. So they need to acquire the suit. They need to buy a car. They need to buy, infant formula for the kids. They buy clothes because they are growing, they are fashion-oriented, all that stuff. But still, it's quite astonishing to see 69% of the consumption goes to the Chinese millennials. Yeah. Age of the survey respondents who purchase a luxurious product in at the first time, the age of that. Between 15 to 19 is 17 years old. Between 20 to 25 is 21.4 years old. You see, that's quite, early time of their segment. And 26 to 34 years old is 26.7 years old. And you can see going on that. So you can see, we clearly see the trend is the luxury segment, the consumer start early. That offer you some insight as a marketer that you should start to target at those young people. Don't think they don't have money to buy. If you start to target only at older people, yes, that's important, they have money, but the younger people are very interested. They started early. And plus, they're going to continue to buy once they recognize some brand, for that matters. An average number of times survey respondents made luxury purchase here. Millennials, 8 times. During those millennial years, 8 times. You got to consider many people doesn't buy. And for others, it's only 5 times. So that's changing. And they prefer premium over mass product. 50% of modern Chinese consumers are seeking the best and the most expensive products. 50%. That's astonishing. And I'll explain to you later on why Chinese are so crazy for luxurious product. Not every British or Europeans are wanting to buy that. And you will be very surprised to see someone, basically blue-collar worker in Europe, and they wear a Chanel bag to work. You will be surprised, where did you come up with the money? Because that doesn't match who you are. But you will see that in China. They don't have lots of money, but they carry a very expensive bag. Maybe that's the only thing they own. That is like, maybe they saved for 3 years in order to fulfill their dream of owning a Chanel bag. And in China, iPhone sales are so high in China. And many college students buy iPhone. Well, in France, I don't see that. When I first went to France, I see most French kids are buying BlackBerry phone. Now BlackBerry doesn't exist anymore. You know, why they buy the BlackBerry versus iPhone? Because they don't have money to do that. But in China, the kids don't have money, but they save money or ask their parents to give them money in order to have that. So they clearly prefer premium over mass. And they enjoy personal sense of well-being with healthy food, education, and travel. They're very well traveled. Many Chinese, millennials travel overseas to London, to Paris, to everywhere in the world. And on average, Chinese traveler to Europe spend 5,000 euro per trip on shopping. Isn't that astonishing? 5,000 euro on shopping. And demand for uniqueness is one of their trade. They have a very sense of superiority. And they value niche brand, limited edition, and customized product. For that reason, the Nike store actually created something which is a widest success in China. You can take a photo of any, shoes, and they will customize for you. Very interesting. And it works very well in China because Chinese millennials started to want to have a bit of personality. They want to be a little bit different. If you sit in my session before of the cross-cultural management path, at this point you start to see, hey, are there any contradictory here? And because the Chinese consumer, according to what I said before, like to conformity. But here you're talking about they wanted to have personality. You see the world is converging. The East and the West are converging. And Chinese are now with the Western influence, particularly, I would say the biggest influence from the West is not ideology. And it is actually the Western brand, such as Coca-Cola, such as Zara, such as H&M, such as IKEA. They are the biggest Western media to China. And to help the Chinese consumer become more individual focused, emphasize on the free spirit, and this is very important to understand. So consumer behavior with Chinese characteristic, face consumption, relationship consumption, root consumption, the consumption of women. So these are the 4 things I don't have time to explain to you all. The Chinese are very much in face consumption, which means that even though they don't have money, they want to look good. If you see a Chinese girl with well-dressed, with nice watch and nice makeup and using, nice bag, That's one thing, because that's all you can see. But then if you go to her home, you will be totally shocked to see at her home there's nothing. Maybe very rubbish furniture, maybe decorated very badly. But when she spent on something to show her face, to show her and present her, she's willing to spend a lot of money on luxurious product. But when she is spending for something more for daily consumption, she may buy the cheapest product, cheapest toilet paper, cheapest everything, okay? So that is face consumption. Relationship consumption, something where you buy presents for other people. You tend to be more generous, more luxurious, because you want to build a relationship that way. You maybe saved lots of money. I once had a family, and I helped his son in a very big way. So the mother brought me a very expensive, a belt. And I didn't want to receive that because they're not very well off. But I believe they have saved a lot of money in order to present this present to me because they want to build that relationship. Root consumption, the motive of holding their family and nationality. So sometimes some of the Chinese flavor luxurious product, comes to the play. The consumption of the woman. And the women now start to feel more liberated. So they start to embrace Western brand, Western lifestyle. So you see lots of new movements. That's why Zara widely successful in China, in every corner of Chinese street. H&M very successful. Forever 21, top men, top women, the top shop. All those things works in China. Unfortunately, Lush is not in China. It's a British brand. I love it. My daughter also loves it. But you can only buy from here. Why? Because they don't want it to be tested on the animal. And the Chinese government require that. So that's why they're not in China yet. So the face consumption, I'm going to skip some of those. Understanding Chinese consumer, the difference between the West and Asia. Left is the West, and on the right is Asia. So you can see on the top, at the bottom, it's physiological. It's all the same. And then you move up the curve. You want a safety. And then you see the difference. On the West, emphasize on social. On the right, Asian emphasize on affluence, affiliation. And then on the left, emphasize the external, internal esteem, both external and internal. But on the right, in the Asian culture, it emphasizes admiration. On the top is quite different. On luxury, for the Western people, means self-actualization, meaning that this product helped me to make a statement of my inner value. But in Chinese, emphasize on social status, who I am. It's the surfaced, understanding about luxurious products. So for that, I personally believe the Chinese consumers' understanding on the luxurious product are quite different from the Western consumer, and they still have a long way to go to really understand the meaning of luxury. So for instance, Hermes, for Chinese consumer, it's more about for 土豪, for the rich people. But in France, it means for the people who has taste, who value the taste and design. So there's a totally different image you have. So lifestyle of Chinese consumer, demand for trendy and innovative product. So Chinese are very innovative, they're very risk taker, and they want to try new things. And so your luxurious product need to build into that, need to have the function of newness, and demand for quality of life, so that they enjoy the quality versus just the quantity. And less inclined to save, and a strong propensity to spend. They like to spend, and many people really enjoy to spend. They're confident in the long-term earning potential. They're very qualified. They have very strong, purchasing power. Lifestyle of Chinese consumer, they like to show off their individuality. So particularly in the cosmetic industry, the young girls like to dye their hairs very bold. They paint their, eyelashes and their face. So this is a huge market and growing very fast. They're spending according to own interests rather than their own capability, financial resources. They're buying products through the internet for the convenience and popularity, for that matters. And luxury spending, as China's middle-income population grows, shifted to lower-tier city, so does growth in the number of aspiring luxury consumers. The consumers are now moving not just from the first-tier city, second-tier city, but to the fourth, fifth-tier cities as well. 2/3 of the luxury sales growth is coming from new consumers. You see more and more people wanted to live that life. And particularly in the lower-tier city, you see more and more luxury consumers in those areas. And I want to share with you the Chinese behavior for luxury consumption. I want to just share a few charts. You mean you're standing because you don't want to sit? My time is coming? Okay, please be seated. I need a few more minutes. Okay. Do you agree with me? If you agree, please clap your hand. All right. The power of stage is on me, not on you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's democracy here. I enjoy that. Luxury in China is fundamentally different from the West. And in the West, it's more internal. And in China, it's external. It's all about external, okay? So luxury in China primarily makes social statement. You know, there's a signifier and there's something to signify, okay? So let me give you an example. If a lady wear an engagement ring, that ring maybe have a 1-carat diamond or 5-carat diamond. Sometimes your finger the diamond doesn't match your fingers for some ladies. It's too big, you know. But that doesn't matter because this is used as a signifier. The diamond is just a signifier. It's nothing more than that. What does that signify for? That my husband is rich. I married a rich man. That's what they mean. But in the West, you don't do this, right? And also, for instance, here, if you drink a wine, and in China, it signifies I'm elite. You see, I don't drink this white liquor. This belongs to uneducated people. Ganbei, you know, got drunk. No, I'm more civilized. I taste the wine before I drink. Yeah, I'm sophisticated. I can talk about wine for hours. That signifies that I am elite, right? And here we are. If you have a watch, depending on what kind of watch. I used to wear a Rolex watch. But then many people criticize me, say, hey, people like you, so highly educated, you shouldn't wear that because that gives people a wrong impression, like you're shallow. You're just showing off. Rolex is a showing off watch. You should wear something with, you know, this, you know, complex watch from, you know, Switzerland. Why? It shows you're sophisticated. Very sophisticated. So we have a lots of, trial turbulent watch in China sold to Chinese. They have no idea how this mechanic works, but doesn't matter. It shows that you're sophisticated, right? 64% of the luxury brand denotes success in China. The consumers think that, you know, that means you're successful. If you have a luxury product, that means you're successful. So you want to show that even though you're not successful, you wear luxury product, it shows that I am successful. 1% think luxury brand denote superficiality. You thought that the majority of people would think, oh, it's just superficial. But no, Chinese don't think this way. So let's talk about British brand. I'm sorry, I'm going to run over quite a bit. British gentleman style and prestige and fine craftsmanship and advanced technology. Here, Chinese consider British brand as something British gentlemanship. This is a British gentleman, yeah? They think that, wow, that must be a gentlemanship. That's a British brand perception by Chinese. They also perceive British brand as prestige with great heritage. They think has a long heritage, hundreds of years old brands. And they also perceive that as fine craftsmanship, not just like low quality, but fine craftsmanship. They overdo it. They're durable. They're solid. They're high quality. And finally, they think it's very technology-oriented, not just like a low-tech, but high technology-oriented. So UK's brand sophisticated luxury appeal to Chinese consumers. Study shows 55% of Chinese consumers buy British brand. And that is very astonishing. And so I'm gonna skip some of them. Results reflect that top 100 company headquartered in each of the country. Here, number 1 is France. And number is 24.3%. Number 2 is United States, 20.1%. Number 3 is Italy, 15.6%. And United Kingdom is 5.2%. So you're not too bad in terms of luxury brand. The only one who laugh at you, and it's not Chinese, it's French. Anyway, you don't like them anyway. Successful British brand, Dyson. Now, this is a luxury brand because they're very expensive. I have a student who distributes Dyson in China. And Dyson have lots of high technology goes into that, and it's a very successful case. They have 200 stores across 45 cities in China. That is amazing. I don't know how many stores they have in UK. They tripled its revenue in each of the China, Indonesia, and the Philippines in 2016. Very successful. It's about quality, innovation. It's about positive reputation. It's about specialist technology company. It's about revolution in technology. Another successful company, luxury company from UK is called a Rolls-Royce. When I go to China, I often ride on this car, not because I own one, but a lot of our students own this. They pick me up from the airport, so I have ridden on multiple different ones. And this, as you know, is very expensive car. And they made in China its largest market since 2013. They had a long history of 110 years. They are associated with very strong sense of British identity, heritage, craftsmanship, for that matters. Their sales are 40% in 2017 compared to 2016. Over 20 Rolls-Royce showrooms in China. It's about status, prestige, face value. Why the business exactly will have that car? When you have that car to pick up a customer, it shows I am very successful. I have muscle. You know, that's what that means for that. And they're keeping the face at all costs. Very popular as well, a very sense of the heritage. And I'm going to skip some of that. 10 million Rolls-Royce, Swifttail. I don't know anyone here right on that. There's only one in the world. And Burberry is another brand, British brand. I personally think, who want to buy that? You know, I never owned any product from Burberry because I personally didn't like it. But somehow it's so successful in China, incredibly successful in China. Their online sales in China have more than doubled since 2016. Triple the number of consumers who encountered its marketing material on WeChat. 24-hour flagship, sales event on China's social media, China Weibo. Yeah, this goes on and on. They are keep innovating in a different store, bring the technologies and all that stuff, here. And they have dynamic illustrated fake it on outside and over 40 video screens on the inside, providing immense audio-visual experience. So they're very good at that. And dedicated watch areas, the first installed Burberry beauty room in China. So they make it really luxurious. I must say that a lot of brands in UK and other countries may not be so super luxurious. But when they go to China, they have opportunity to reposition that brand to become very luxurious. For instance, one of the American hotel chain was only 3-star hotel in America. But when they go to China, they made it 5-star. So it's your opportunity because Chinese consumer doesn't know your brand so well in UK. It's your opportunity to rebrand that to fit into this growing market, for that. Yeah, what British brand could do, you can use the KOL marketing, which I mentioned a little bit before, using WeChat, Weibo, Tmall, JD.com, Alipay, those as a way to do that. So finally, I will come to our last, some slides, talk about online retail potential and strategies. First of all, common pitfalls of the luxury brand that suffered in China is under-investing in e-commerce and marketing and PR. Many, luxury brands in the West are mostly deal with traditional channel. But in China, you have the new channel. You have online channel, which is growing. Not the largest channel, but it's a growing channel, so you need to invest in that. And 3 great forces: upper middle class, affluent household, new generation, e-commerce. These are the 3 things that you as a marketer should focus on. And I'm not going to share those details because I really run out of time. Time spent on the digital in hours per week by age group. Here you can see between 15 to 19 is only 7 hours per week. And between millennials is 22, and for 20 to 25, and 21 is 26 to 35. You know why you see an immediate shift? Because at the 19, you go to college, you became more independent. So now you spend more time that way. Yeah. And lecture sales by channels online is at this point is still quite low, about 9%, but the CAGR is very astonishing, about 43%. So the CAGR is very, very, very big, here. And brand invests heavily in digital marketing. 30 to 60% of the brand invest in the WeChat. WeChat marketing is something must. Here, this chart on the left is about product information. Every brand has product information in WeChat. And store information, 90% have that in WeChat. 65% on customer service are done by WeChat. And 55% WeChat, commerce just directly sells through the WeChat. You have a channel in the WeChat to sell your product. 50% brand information and membership management is about 38%. 95% of Chinese consumers own a smartphone. 85% have experience on online shopping. Most important factor for online shopping is about quality. Then it's about price, brand, delivery, services, varieties, all that stuff. But quality is #1 thing to consider. You're lucky because UK is all about quality. Social media is now an essential part of brands' marketing strategy in China. 60% of the Chinese middle-income consumer make use of social media. They share things. They're not just to buy, but also use social media to share. That's why all the marketers are using it. And 63% bought the product because it was recommended by other shoppers through the social media. So the social media became a big influencer on the internet. So that's why KOL marketing became very important too. Yeah. And the penetration rate of social media among post-90s is about 99%, 73% for the 80s, who are born in the 80s. Yeah, so that's very astonishing. So marketing strategy, use concentrated marketing, online marketing versus TV advertisement. Product design and package is also a marketing. So packaging in China is so important. Don't underestimate your packaging, because oftentimes in the West, you ignore the Chinese consumers' need about packaging. In China, I say package is product. It's not just the package to cover it, but package is product. And finally, suitable celebrities to have. Sometimes not necessarily celebrities. Could be just ordinary people who has lots of fans, followers, like Instagram followers. Those have become very important. Yeah, I'm going to skip some of this. So Harrods, they installed UnionPay terminals in UK. 75 of that in their shop, result in 40% increase in sales to the Chinese consumer. We also have a Landmark Hotel here. And Landmark Hotel recently, with my introduction, also installed a WeChat payment solution. So they became quite geared towards the Chinese consumer, for that matters. So it's very important that you understand the consumer. Unfortunately, majority of the cash station in UK doesn't have UnionPay, doesn't support UnionPay. So now I have a difficult time with the Chinese UnionPay card here. Well, part to blame is Chinese UnionPay because they failed to structure a deal with all those ATM machines here. And they used to have, but now they take it away. Consumer trend, they emphasize differentiation. 45% of Chinese consumers think well-known brands are a better quality. So it's very important. 30% of Chinese consumers think expensive product of a better quality. So when it's expensive, actually, it's good. The key success factor of winning brand, the constant newness and fashion creation. Second is harness the power of digital. Improve the store experience, customer service. And finally, use fast fashion model to enable speedy replenishment. I'm going to skip some of this. earlier on this morning, I shared that we have two programs. One is China Star Program for the startups to go to China. We help you to raise money. We help you to bridge between the partners in China. We'll introduce lots of partners through our platform of more than 15,000 alumni who are chairman CEOs, and I also teach you about China. Next program is in May 20 to 27th. If you are interested, Liping Wang is here. Liping, are you here? Yeah, you can stand up or come to our booth at the entrance. We have a China CEO program as well for the small, medium companies to help you to expand to China. We already had lots of participants to this conference today indicated their interest, so they will join this program as well. So that will be May 12th to 17th in China. This is my contact globally, and you can take a photo of that and connect me through either LinkedIn, WhatsApp, or through the social media WeChat for that. So thank you very much for allowing me to run over time. And I have to rush through, so I apologize for that. I wish you much success in China. If you need any help, please come to talk to me afterwards. Thank you.